Hello, everybody. This is the planet Earth here. I have a little bit of advice to give to everybody that watches this particular video. And I'm going to give you this advice because I have been driving since I was a little bit before 16 years old, student driver, etc. So, I'm going to give everybody advice. I have put over 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's about 560,000 to maybe 570,000 miles total on all vehicles, including rental cars that I've added up over the years. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of miles on a budget. Driving, from Los Angeles all the way to Yellowstone, Fairbanks, Prudhoe Bay, Anchorage, going through Canada, taking the 5 freeway all the way from Seattle to all the way down to Chula Vista, California, going multiple times, Las Vegas to Los Angeles over and over and over, 400 miles each way, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, Hoover Dam, Grand Canyon, Salt Lake City, Utah, Boise, Idaho, all the way to Eugene, Oregon. I actually took a kind of a curve trip where I went up on Interstate 15 from Los Angeles, California, aka Marina Del Rey, to 15. I would take 10 east, 15 north, I guess you could say. Go into Primm, and then from Primm to Las Vegas. I'm not looking at a map, by the way. This is just based off my memory. Getting stuck in the desert, don't do that. And then going from Las Vegas to Area 51 multiple times. Going up to Idaho from northern Nevada. Just doing all that crazy stuff. And over the years, I wanted to talk about this. Driving almost 600,000 miles total. Without, knock on wood, being into a massive car accident. I have been in a few people where they've hit me in the back. I've slipped off the road a few times, but never any massive car accident, thank God, yet. However, it is unpredictable of when that could occur, if that occurs. But it's just me being paranoid of drivers behind me, in front of me, staying in the right lane when possible, moving to the left lane when people are emerging onto the roads, turning on my brights, turning on my flashers. I don't care if there's traffic, and I don't care if it's breaking the law technically to put on the hazards. I don't care. When I see a lot of traffic starting to build up, and I have to slow down too much, and then the traffic about a mile away from me is going at 75 to 80 miles an hour, I put my flashers on, and then other people might start putting their flashers on, and it may prevent somebody from getting hit at 70 miles an hour and getting into a car crash. Staying away from 18-wheelers as much as possible. If I'm getting on the freeway and there's an 18-wheeler in the right lane, I'll slow down dramatically just so I can get behind them somehow, even if it slows everybody else down. And that's prevented me from being creamed into a side rail multiple times. But I wanted to give you advice for police. I'm going to get some advice. I've been pulled over about maybe 5 times since I began my 6, 7 times. I've been pulled over in Colorado, Texas. I've been pulled over in New Jersey, New York. I've been pulled over in Miami once. And then I also got pulled over in Key West. And knock on wood, I have really never gotten a ticket. I got a ticket in federal land, but that was dismissed years ago. I had to use the bathroom, so I was speeding, supposedly. And but here's how I got out all of my tickets. Okay. Each time it's mainly just been for like 5 over, 4 over. Most of the time, I'm so paranoid about getting pulled over by the police because I don't trust them, because I've seen them plant stuff, that I check my rental vehicles before I even take off. Like when in 2013, 12, 11, 2012 and 13, I used to get a rental car for like $5 a day in LAX airport when everything was a little bit calmer, I guess you could say, and everything wasn't so corrupted. Rental cars used to be like $5 a day at LAX, and I lived just a few miles from there. So getting a rental car for like $5 a day, it was really a nice budget on a credit card. I mean, it was really cheap, and I wouldn't even get the insurance because uh, didn't need it. I'm a good driver, you know. I didn't need the insurance. Never got into an accident. Knock on wood. It's just the paranoia of driving. It's just so scary. Driving in LA during rush hour, I try to avoid that. I get off the freeway, and I also try to stay in the left lane. And then when somebody's making a turn in LA, I would always try to avoid. If I can't see them turning, I slow down dramatically, like they're about to turn in front of me, and it saved me multiple times from getting smacked by staying in the left lane, because a lot of people, they just go out in the middle of the street without looking. Obviously, you can't prevent every single car crash. It's not possible. But in the middle of the night, I'm always paranoid and looking both ways. When the light turns green, I wait about 2 or 3 seconds and then go. Sometimes I don't, depending on the situation. If there's like nobody there and I don't see nobody coming, I'll go as soon as it turns green. But I always wait 3 seconds usually and then go. It depends on my mood too, but 3 seconds is my rule, and it saved me multiple times from red light runners. Always pay attention, man. It could save you. Now, like I said, it can't stop you from somebody crashing into somebody else and then crashing into you. Just from the force of momentum. Okay. So, how to avoid getting a ticket from a cop? An officer of the law. Every time that I have been pulled over, I put my hands on the steering wheel. I roll down all the windows, except for the left rear window. Unless the cop is coming from that side, then I will roll it up. Roll that window down, but I'll keep the other windows up because in case they want to throw something in the back seat. I've always been a bit paranoid about that, even though I've never committed a crime. I've always been paranoid of them doing it. But as soon as I see that they don't have nothing in their hands, or it doesn't look like they have something in their hands, they might try to conceive it, but I'm consciously saying, being as nice as possible to the officer, not trying to give them an excuse to plant anything. And luckily for me, knock on wood, so far as of now, I've never been searched because I roll down the windows, I turn the dome lights on, and I look at the officers. If they're looking from the back window, they usually shine their flashlight into the back window, and then they'll shine their flashlight into the passenger seat, looking at me, shining if they want to come from the right side in case the car gets hit. Usually on the side of the road, that's what happens, especially at night. Every time that I have been pulled over, I have been as nice as possible. I put on a smile, and I immediately keep holding the wheel, and I don't let go of holding the wheel, and I roll down all the windows, even if it's cold. And I roll them down, I turn the car off, and I put the keys on the dash. Yep, I know that sounds crazy. I put the keys on the dash immediately, roll down windows, and I've even, in New Jersey, I put the emergency brake, I apply the emergency brake. I want them to know I'm not going to take off, I'm not acting suspicious, and I'm like, hey, you want me to pop the trunk? You want to look in there? I even tell them that. I straight up tell them that. Now you're right. You're right in the sense of, oh, well, you shouldn't give them consent to search your vehicle, but I want them to feel comfortable. So it really throws them off because a lot of cops are going to expect an asshole response, an attitude response, and so when I catch them off guard, it puts them in a mood of like, okay, I could probably trust this person. Don't fiddle around. Keep your hands on the wheel, and say, "Hi, officer," and just be nice to the officer, even if the officer is going to be mean to you. Just continue to be nice to the officer. Take your ticket. But every single time so far, I have been getting off a warning, and it has worked every single time. I have been as nice as possible, polite and respectful, and I also make sure, for sure, 100%, do not get a rental car and not check the trunk carefully and thoroughly, and check underneath the seats for any kind of drugs that somebody may have left from the old rental car. Now, I found drugs in the seats once, and I immediately called the police and said, I just got this rental car and there's drugs in the back seat, I'm not touching it. So they get the drugs and they'll take the fingerprints off of them, and then they ask to go to the counter and say, who previously rented this vehicle? And then they go after those people. I doubt it, but they just be like, who rented this car before? And that's it. I don't want to put that drama, so I always check the rental cars. And then now you're more likely to get pulled over in a rental car just because it is a rental car. Always have your documentation and possibly at least a screenshot of your bank that you paid Avis, or you paid Dollar, or you paid Enterprise, or you paid any of these other companies, Alamo. Just have that readily available on hand by the time the cop gets to your window. That will give them less anxiety if the car is stolen or any reason to want to search the vehicle. Also carry light if possible, if that makes sense. Like, they know if you're moving across the country based on how much stuff you have in your vehicle. They kind of know. And they don't want to go through all that stuff, even if they know there's something in there. But most of the time, they just want to go home at the end of the day. So sometimes they don't even want to search. Like, they're not in the mood to search. If it's too cold or if it's too hot, sometimes the cops don't want to search. So get them in that mood of, I don't want to be here, I'm just giving you a warning, and keep moving. So I have been pulled over and given warnings for speeding in, like, Kentucky, in Tennessee, especially northern Tennessee. But every single time, and sometimes I've been pulled over just for being a suspicious vehicle, because I like to do my drives at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm kind of just driving in the middle of nowhere, Texas. Sometimes when I'm going through the small towns, I get pulled over. But I just say, I'm traveling Texas. I like traveling Texas. I said, do you want to search my vehicle? Go ahead. Yeah, go. Most of the time, if the sheriff is caught off guard, they don't have time to plant evidence. When you catch them off guard, like saying, oh, well, go ahead and search my vehicle if you want. I don't care. It catches them off guard. And they were like, nah, just have a good night. And I'm going the speed limit, following all the laws. Like, one time the sheriff was trying to get me to speed by getting right up my, this cop literally followed me for like 4 or 5 miles, and he was right on me, trying to get me to speed up so he could give me a ticket. This happened here in Texas. I think it was near Mansfield, Ohio? Oh, no, Mansfield. Where was that at? It was in the middle of the night. Shoot, I forgot the city name. Brady, Texas. It was near Brady. It wasn't in Brady, Texas, but it was near Brady. This cop was on me. He wanted me to speed, so I was like, nope, I'm not going to speed. He wanted to speed so he can give me a little ticket or something, because they probably needed the money in their county. So I was like, nope, not going to speed. Speed limit was 55 miles an hour. Nope. I went exactly 54 miles per hour. Just about the speed limit. So a little bit, 1 mile underneath the speed limit. And he was on me, bro. He was on me for like 5 miles trying to get me to speed. He didn't flash his lights or nothing. He just, he was following me closely. We're talking like probably within like 7-8 feet. He was on me trying to get me to speed up, and it was a one-way street. He could have passed me multiple times. There were multiple passing zones. He refused to pass me, so he wanted me to speed so he can give me a ticket. I know their game. Don't allow them. Go the speed limit. And if you do get pulled over, hands on the wheel, roll down the windows, at least on the side that the cop is coming up from, so he can see in. Once the cop knows that there is no threat, then guess what? The chances of getting a ticket go down at least 30%. If you're not like dramatically speeding like 200 miles an hour in a 75 or 70 or 65. If you're doing that, you're going to get arrested, probably. But I recommend no speeding. I recommend going 5 over. Don't go faster than that in Texas. You could probably get away with going 10 over in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night. But don't be surprised if you hit a deer at 80 miles per hour and destroy your car. Or truck. Or SUV. So yeah, don't actually speed in Texas at night. Especially if you're going through West Central Texas, Northern Texas, and extreme South Texas during the winter, not during the summer. During the summer, you can kind of get away with it a little bit more, but during the winter, you're more likely to hit a deer. Especially during November and September and October and November. when it's colder and they want to get on that road because the road is still hot from the day, but it's cold at night. Sometimes the deer want to keep warm, so they get on the warm concrete before it's had time to cool off. So, don't speed. Don't get a ticket. It's not worth it. Just go 5 over, okay? If you have to go 10 over, do it in the middle of nowhere. Use Waze and use Google Maps. Most of the time, the cops are going to be hiding in like a stall. So, I mean, we're talking behind a building, and then you're going to get caught. But in the cities, and I'm going to beg you guys, and I don't care what you say, do not speed in a small town. Small towns less than 20,000 people, don't speed. And if the small town less than 5,000 people, don't even speed even more. Do not even go 1 mile over the speed limit. Go strictly the speed limit as much as possible. Some cops are petty and they'll give you a 1 mile over the speed limit. No joke. You will win that in court so easily. You could just say, is your instrument working good? Trust me. Do not speed in a small town. I learned that in Ohio, actually. I used to kind of go a few miles over the speed limit in small towns until I went to a small township in Ohio where a cop pulled me over for going 2 miles through his small town. 2 miles over the speed limit, literally. He's like, why are you speeding through my town? I was like, sir, speed limit says 30. Okay, but you're going 32. I want you going the speed limit. I was like, sir, but there's multiple variables. And I explained to him. And he started laughing. He's like, man, I just pulled you over because I'm bored. Of course they would. So that's what a lot of cops do in small towns. They literally give any excuse to pull you over, especially if you drive multiple times to that small town. Then they're going to probably give an excuse to want to search your vehicle. They're going to be like, why is this guy going? I have literally done that on purpose just to piss off cops. I will literally turn around and drive through small towns. I haven't done it in the last 10 years, but I used to do it when I was younger. I would literally go around in circles just to piss off cops. And they'd be like, what the fuck? And then they would shine their light on me. You know, look suspicious. They never pulled me over most of the time, but they would be shining their light on me like, why does this guy keep going around in circles? And there was no Uber back then, so you can't say Uber or Lyft or, oh, I'm looking for somebody. No, I would just say, I am purposely going around in circles because I'm bored. Do you mind? And the cop would be like, huh? And so, like I said, the point is, the cops are most likely going to pull you over in a small town if it's at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they know that there's like a multiple business around, and a lot of like people get out the hospital, or if there's like a remote hospital in the middle of nowhere, they know those are the times that people get off. They're going to pull you over because they're going to be like, that's kind of weird that someone's driving at 2 o'clock in the morning to a small town, and there's really nothing around here for them to be going around. So you're definitely going to probably get pulled over more likely than if you were in like a big city such as Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Los Angeles, New York City, 5 boroughs of New York, Baltimore, Philadelphia. You might get pulled over a lot in Philadelphia, though. I've seen a lot of people get pulled over. Miami, especially. Oh, my God, Miami. But, like I said, just don't speed in small towns. As soon as you come to a small town, don't speed. Period. Don't do it. It's not worth it. You'll get a big ticket. They will give it out. If you're in a big city, please be polite and go 20, 25 in residential areas. Guys, it's not worth it. It's not worth accidentally hitting somebody, hit another vehicle. And don't piss off the cop. Just listen to what they say. Fight it in court. Don't fight the cop. Fight the ticket in court. Do not get shot. It's not worth it. Don't piss the cop off. Do you really want them to rip you out, arrest you, put you in the back of their patrol car, and then have your vehicle towed to an impound lot, which will cost you like $300 a night, and then it'll cost up to like $1,200 by the time you get out of jail. You'll be at like $1,200 in debt. Then you'll have to pay that debt off just to get your vehicle out. If you're lucky, you have that money in stock. But with this situation going on, you might not have the money in stock. So don't get arrested. It's not worth it. Don't have felonies. Stop committing crimes if you're doing crimes. It's not worth it. Especially now. Don't speed. I understand that you guys want to go really fucking fast. I understand that. Don't speed. It's not worth it, especially during the winter time and the fall, where the deers are going to be up on the roads in multiple states. It is not worth hitting these motherfuckers and destroying your vehicle when you didn't have to have it happen if you had just obeyed the law in the first place. The speed limits are there because, I mean, they're kind of assholes for having speed limits, but I mean, if you're making a turn at like 70 miles an hour and it tells you to slow down at like 45, I mean, I have seen multiple people literally crash into these concrete barriers because they just slowed down or because it was wet. Listen to the speed limits, guys. There's a reason why they have them there. Some roads can take the beating of going 100 plus miles an hour, and some roads cannot, especially if there's potholes. Don't speed. It's not worth it. I promise you, it's not worth it, guys. It's just not worth it. Don't speed. Don't get pulled over. It's not worth it, man. I'm telling you, you guys only have one fucking thing. You only have one record. You don't have 2 records. You don't have 3 records. You don't have chances. Once you get that shit, your insurance rate goes up, and you're fucked. And you just paid more money for nothing for years. So don't speed. It's so scary getting into a car crash. You don't even understand how scary car crashes are. I have seen people get smothered into smithereens in crashes. I have seen it in person. I've helped people get out of a trapped vehicle. I couldn't get them out because they had to use the jaws of life. For the love of God, man, don't speed. Do not speed. It's not worth it. I understand that you want to put the pedal to the metal. It's not worth it. It's not worth the ticket. It's not worth the drunk drivers on the road. I wish people would stop drinking and driving. I really do wish they would do that at least. But I almost got reamed by a drunk driver a couple months ago, going the wrong way on Interstate 10 on the east side of San Antonio, and almost killing me, going with the lights off on his car, drunk, not knowing where the hell he's going. So always report drunk drivers. Please. These people will literally hit you at 70 miles an hour. You're going 70 miles an hour. So especially if it's a truck, most likely it's a truck if you're in Texas, SUV, an older van. These guys are drinking. They're not paying attention. They're getting off the access ramps on the opposite end of where they should be coming from. And they don't have their lights on, or they do turn their lights on. But it's happening so fast that you don't have enough to get out of the lane. Luckily, I had gotten into the right lane. The guy was on the left lane going the opposite way. So very scary. Very, very scary situation. It's not worth your life. Don't speed as much as possible. And if you do speed, if it's during the daytime, there's not a lot of cars around you, you could probably go 10 over and get away with it for the most part. But try to keep your GPS on, so use a high quality charger with power delivery, preferably a fast charger. And then keep the brightness on your phone down so you don't do burn-in. And use Google Maps that will give live updates of where the police may or may not be. That won't help you in every situation, but it'll give you a kind of thing. You could get a radar detector depending on which state you live in. But I don't actually recommend that. I just recommend don't speed too much. So 5 over, you might not, the cop might just be like, it's 5 over. Okay, if you're going 80 miles an hour, okay, fine. You might even be able to go 85. Like I'll give an example. A lot of people go 90 from Houston to San Antonio and San Antonio to Houston, or Houston and then skipping up to Austin using the toll roads. They most likely are going to go 85, 90 miles an hour. Most people are going 85 to 90 miles per hour. There's also a section in northwest of San Antonio and west of Austin that allows speed limits of 80 miles per hour. So if you're going 80 miles an hour, you could probably go 90 and get away with it. I don't think the cop is going to care, but you better make sure that your car is in decent shape. But I know cops kind of look at your vehicle when they're passing by to see if they're in decent shape and going that speed. I have talked to an officer about that. They said if your car looks like it's in really good shape tire-wise, and your car's not falling apart and stuff like that, most likely they're not going to pull you over, especially if you're in Texas going 90 miles an hour and 80, which is 10 over. It is illegal, but most people do it. I mean, I've literally seen everybody pass me. I'm going 80, they're going 90. I go a little bit, maybe like 81, 82. They're going 90 or 90, 100. So if you're going to speed, maybe do it during the daytime in the middle of nowhere and look for road debris. That's important. Don't hit deers. Don't hit shit in the road. It'll F you up your car permanently, especially at 90 miles an hour. Okay? Your plastic vehicle versus a deer that weighs maybe 100, 200 pounds, it's like hitting a brick wall. It'll fuck the shit out of your car. And it will break. It'll break the crash bar. It don't matter if you're in an SUV. It doesn't matter if you're in a Lincoln. It'll fuck your shit up, especially at 90 miles an hour. If you smash into another vehicle at 90 miles an hour, most of the time you may not live. Don't speed if possible, especially at night. And in a busy area of like a city like Houston, don't speed. Thank you guys for watching.